So today at the boards, we worked through the 4.3 Explore. It talks about the Jones family is having a family reunion at a park. Can you help figure out who brought what and how much they spent? And so the first scenario was that Grandma Jones was in charge of bringing paper plates and utensils. She bought 3 packs of paper plates for $5.19 and 2 boxes of plastic silverware. Those things feel important, so I'm going to underline those. She spent a total of $12.09 on plates and silverware. Let P be the cost of a pack of paper plates and S be the cost of a box of silverware. So we're going to write 2 equations using P and S to describe Grandma Jones's purchase. All right, so I'm going to go back to the plates. 3 packs of paper plates for $5.19. So 3 packs of paper plates, and that cost a total of $5.19. In my other equation, I have 2 boxes of silverware. I don't know what she spent on just the silverware, but I do know that there was a total of $12.09 spent between the plates and the silverware. So the cost of the plates, or the number of plates that I bought, 3 times the cost of the plates, plus the boxes of silverware I bought, 2 times the price of the silverware, is going to equal that total price of $12.09. Okay, so I have these 2 equations. 3 plates cost a total of $5.19, and 3 plates plus 2 boxes of silverware cost a total of $12.09. Which price is easier to find, the plates or the silverware? And I would say the plates, because in this equation, there's only one variable. All I have to do is divide. And in fact, if I divide both sides by 3, I get the plates are going to cost, well, let's see, $5.19 divided by 3 would be $1.73 per pack of plates. So that was pretty easy to find. C says, now that you found the price of one of the items, can you find the price of the other? Yeah, I think so, right? I mean, I have this other equation. In this other equation, I have 3P plus 2S equals 12.09. I actually know what 3P is. I could either do 3 times 1.73, which is $5.19, or I could just replace that whole thing, 3P, with $5.19. Plus the 2 boxes of silverware equals $12.09. I'm going to subtract the $5.19 from both sides, right? If I subtract $5.19 from both sides, I get 2S. Careful, that's an S, not a 5. And that gives me $6.90. And if I divide both sides by 2, I get that S is equal to $3.45 per pack or per box of silverware. All right. So we're doing some substitution, right? I found what one variable was equal to, and I used that information to help me find the other variable. So let's talk about this next one. Let's talk about Uncle Craig. Uncle Craig is in charge of bringing chips and salsa. A bag of chips costs $2.25, and a jar of salsa costs $3.50. Uncle Craig spent a total of $41 on both items. It says that he bought 3 times as many bags of chips as jars of salsa. All right. Let B be the number of bags of chips he bought, and J be the number of jars of salsa he bought. Write an equation involving B and J that represents the total cost of his purchase. Okay, so the total cost of his purchase was $41. And the cost of chips was $2.25. I think they said to use B. So $2.25 per bag of chips, plus the cost of salsa was $3.50. I believe they said to use J. And so this would represent the total cost. How much each bag of chips costs times the total number of chips I bought. How much a jar of salsa cost times the number of jars of salsa I bought equals $41. B says, how is the value of B related to the value of J? All right, so it does say he bought 3 times as many bags of chips as jars of salsa. And I have to be honest, this throws me every single time. So what I like to do is I like to try to come up with some scenarios, right? So he bought 3 times as many bags of chips as jars of salsa. So let's say if I buy 1 bag or 1 jar of salsa, he bought 3 times as many bags of chips. So 3 bags of chips. And if he buys 2 jars of salsa, 3 times as many would be 6. So what he's doing is he's taking 3 times his J number in order to get his chip number. And so this is how I can write that equation. But again, I personally struggle with this because 3 times as many bags of chips makes me think I should do 3 times my chips. But I want the number of salsa and chip bags to be the same. So again, I like to make this table. If I buy 1 jar of salsa, 3 times as many bags of chips means I have 3 bags of chips. 2 jars of salsa, 6 bags of chips. To get that number, I am taking this J and I am multiplying it by 3 to get the bags of chips. So my equation would be bags of chips is equal to 3 times the J. Okay. Determine how many bags of chips and jars of salsa Craig bought. Well, now that I know that B is equal to 3J, I can take that information and replace the B in my first equation with the 3J. So I would have 41 equals 225 times 3J plus 350J. Now I can start to solve, right? I got to do 225 times 3, which gives me 675. Plus the 350J. If I add those two numbers together, I get 1025J. And if I divide both sides by 1025, I get 4 equals J. So 4 jars of salsa. And that means that if I have 4 jars of salsa, I have 3 times as many bags of chips. I have 12 bags of chips. And that sounds right to me. He bought 3 times as many bags of chips. I should have more chips. I do. I have 12 bags of chips and 4 jars of salsa. All right, so that's what we worked on in class today. And then we just did some more practice working on the slides that we had started in class the previous day and worked on the 4.3, check your understanding. And in the 4.3, check your understanding, again, we just talked about this idea of substitution. The first thing that we need to do is we need to create 2 equations. I need to isolate a variable in one of those equations if it's not already isolated. And then I'm going to substitute the expression for that isolated variable into the other equation. And then my job is to solve. Solve the equation to find the solution. And typically we have this solution of x, y. But if you look down at problem 2, I have w and z. Well, I guess w technically comes first in the alphabet. But if that's the case, then we would just say x equals and y equals, or w equals and z equals. And so in class, people worked in their tables to work through the check your understanding. I suggest that you give that a try, and then you can check the answer key on the spreadsheet to see how you did. As always, be ready to ask me questions if you are uncertain of how to complete the tasks.